Hi. In this video, I'm going to explain why you're struggling to deal with the difficult people that you have to manage in your business, the real impact that this is having on you, and what I think you can do about it. Without this skill set in your arsenal, you most definitely haven't found your leadership mojo. So let's fix that. Hello and welcome to season 2 on the channel, the one where you start building a fundamentally stronger business.
I suggest you subscribe, or this puppy gets it.
The reason that 98% of business leaders can't handle difficult people is because of this guy. The label gun. When the wrong label is put on the wrong thing, it sabotages any hope you had of bringing the difficult person who is ruining your life back from the plank that you have them walking on in your mind. So ends your chance of successfully managing and influencing the people around you, meaning your business can only work if you're surrounded by people who you like and who listen to you. Yeah, well, we all know that's just not possible. We're gonna need to figure out how to manage the good, the bad, and the ugly. You will realize by the end of this video that the reason why difficult people keep affecting you as you go about your day is because the way you're using this is massively triggered by this. In particular, this. I'm afraid it's impossible to disconnect the connection between the two because this guy comes as a factory default, at least for the most of us. But luckily by the end of this video, you're also going to learn how to find a better synergy between the two, just like Captain America did with the Winter Soldier and Elle Woods managed with the absolutely impossible Vivian Kensington. I'm sure you've been told countless times before, OMG, it's not a big deal. Just say to yourself, not my circus, not my monkeys, and just get on with your day. Forget about it. The thing is that it's simply not true. The business I am running is my circus, making the difficult people most definitely my monkeys. The truth is that the majority of businesses are people dependent. You have people in your team. Your customers are people. People who don't become your customers are people. Your suppliers are people. Let's see, your competitors, well, sometimes they're just a big fat pain in the bum, but yeah, they're people too. Your advisors, like your accountants, back managers, lawyers, business coaches, they're all people. And then let's not forget your friends and family who are influencing your life. They're people as well. Considering the number of people around you and your business, the chances of you coming across difficult people who are blocking the progress of your work is extremely high. There tend to be generally 8 typical archetypes of difficult people. I'm sure we can find more, but for now, let's stick with the typical 8. I wonder whether you can think of any people in your orbit who remind you of these fine specimens. First up, we have the know-it-all controller, who are often dependable, but they tend to be closed-minded, have issues with authority, and tend to disregard other people's opinion. Next, we have the short-tempered and often abrasive aggressive. We then have a low motivation slacker who has no regard for deadlines and commitments. Ooh, and then there's the hot mess, who is always reliant that someone will come and clean their messes, and are so disorganized that they disrupt others' productivity. We then have the gossiper. We all know one of these. It's all about drama and being distracted from what really has to be done. The internet junkies, you know the ones that live for the gram or are constantly deep in another random internet rabbit hole of useless information, so much so that their actual work never gets done. Then there's the alpha, who is overly confident in their abilities, almost to the point of narcissism, making them considerably self-interested and constantly seeking affirmation that they are better. We finally then have the full of themselves upstarts who are dismissive of others. You know the ones, ugh, you're such a millennial. Now think of a time when you had to interact with someone who you felt was difficult in any of these ways. Imagine you're sitting there talking to them, maybe getting into an argument and the tensions are starting to rise. Maybe your palms are getting sweaty and now your breath is getting shallower in your chest. And you now feel that wave of anger coming on. Now, whether you go on to act on that anger in that moment or you manage to step away safely before any damage is done, know this. Everything that you're feeling in your body up until that point is a product of your brain. See, our brain is designed for survival. In particular, the limbic system, which is the one that we marked out here, This is in charge of our fear regulation through flight or fight. When we deal with difficult people, ultimately what we're doing is trying to get past that limbic system response of either running away or fighting this difficult person who is just rubbing you up the wrong way. Thing is, the limbic system kicking in is a totally natural and an important response that our body is having. But where this becomes problematic is when this is a repeat and regular occurrence. Basically, if you don't fix the problem with the difficult person, every time you see them, it triggers your brain and body back to the stress state quicker. Every time you tap into this stress, a new round of adrenaline or cortisol, or the one I can't pronounce, norepinephrine, that wasn't so bad, floods our system, and this accumulates, and we entered into a heightened state of anxiety practically permanently. You know, the type that causes heart attacks? Not just that, when our body stays in this heightened state, our other systems shut down too. Our metabolism slows down, we struggle to think clearly, our reproductive organs stop doing their thing, blah de blah de blah de blah de blah. This is the point where this guy comes into the picture. When we have this difficult person disturbing your chi, this is when we become as lethal as John McClane in Nakatomi Tower in Die Hard 2, when he's practically shooting at anything that moves. When our body is stressing out and this person is not giving up the gig of being a royal pain in your butt, we start labeling that person just to be able to make sense of their behavior and calm ourselves down. Think back to the playground. When that kid purposely tripped you up and you scraped your knee, you're hurt and embarrassed, and when you realize they have no intention to apologize or to not do this again, you're overcome with anger at their unreasonableness and call them a name. That, ladies and gents, is the first time you use this guy, the label gun. Playground name calling or adult labeling of people does very little to, one, make you actually feel physically better, and two, to put you in a state of mind where you can actually figure out the disconnect with this person, because every time you're telling yourself that someone is aggressive or rude or lazy, you're making it okay to just blame it all on them. Your body, your business, your team can't afford to let this toxic state of play to continue. It's time we got you thinking differently. Here's the interesting thing about labels that we put on people. Say you called Joe in the office aggressive. If Joe was a friend, we wouldn't necessarily call him aggressive. We'd give him a pass and say, oh yeah, he's just passionate. Say we have Rena, whom we labeled a lazy person. If she was a friend, we would just say, oh, she just marches to her own tune. Like this, disrespectful perhaps becomes fearless and stubborn becomes determined. See, when we're friends with a person, it takes a lot more for our limbic system to get triggered. And so the fact that our brain and body aren't preparing for flight or fight in response to the Joes and Renas around us, we find it easier to label the behavior rather than the person. So we can easily say things like, Joe made his point aggressively because he's a passionate person. Now compare that to, Joe is so aggressive, I can't handle it anymore. Which is the state that you'd rather be in as a business leader? Yup, me too. So the biggest question is, how do we make it to this headspace? First things first, I need you to manage your body's stress response to the situation. And the big hitter when it comes to this is the super useful in the way that your life depends on it type of way, oxygen. Take a deep breath. As you do, your body gets flooded with oxygen, which sends a signal that you're not in danger. So your body doesn't feel the need to flight or fight. If you're in acute stress, you might need more than one breath to bring that level down. Next, create some space from the situation. Either count to 10 or ask to excuse yourself. You need your limbic system to give up control so you can connect with your reasoning mind, the one that's actually interested in understanding what's happening between you two. Then, and only then, does this guy come back into the picture. Rather than labeling the person as we were doing previously, he's aggressive or she's rude, separate out the person from the behavior and label the behavior, not the person. If you can make this shift in your thinking process about the person and what actions they're taking to offend you, you are now ready to actually behave yourself in a behaviorally intelligent manner. You will be able to ask, why is this person behaving this way? and understand what's driving him or her. Once we can explain behaviors, we can predict behaviors. This will help us reduce our uncertainty further, and as we know, uncertainty creates anxiety in any relationship. It is when we reach this point that we have any chance of influencing the other person's behavior. You'll be able to talk in a more collaborative way with them. Things like, shall we can, maybe we should. And then finally, with all of this in practice, we will start to be able to become self-aware of our own behavior, because the chances are we're all difficult people to someone else. Becoming self-aware and in control of your emotional responses to the more difficult members on our team is a firm bedrock upon which you can base your leadership mojo on, as is the ability to show your vulnerability in a way that emotionally connects with your customers. Something which I discuss in this video, where I also show you examples of what some real businesses have managed to do. Until the next one, you've got this.